Hey everyone, and welcome back to Battleborn. I've got a new build for you. This one is for Deande, and I call it the Fanatical Juggler. The idea of this build is you are a support character for your team. You're going to help them take out minions, and you're going to generally confuse the enemy and frustrate them. On top of that, any players that overextend, you're going to punish them, juggle them up into the air and kill them, or at least set up your allies to kill them. Alright, so let me show you the Helix choices that I make. Oh, wrong button there. There we go. Alright, so first one I go with is Ground Zero on the right. Now I know that some of you long-term players of Deande, as soon as you heard me pick Ground Zero, you immediately got out your torches and your pitchforks, ready to riot. So let me just explain the difference between Ground Zero and Double Trouble and why you may want to choose either one. So I go with Ground Zero, which turns Burst Dash into an AoE. Now, what that's going to do is obviously make it an AoE, but it's also going to weaken everything it hits because that's its secondary effect of the ability, which lowers everything's damage by 30%. Great for making the minions weaker, great for hitting a group of players in a team fight and getting them all weakened. And also, when you get a later augment, you'll get a big heal out of it. So if you use it on a minion wave or a large group of players, you're going to get a huge heal and basically get back to full health. So that's why I use it, because I'm playing more of a support role and I'm not being aggressive. Now, if you wanted to be aggressive, you want to go with Double Trouble. And what that's going to do is make it so it's going to do a few things. So first, it's going to keep your Burst Dash as a single target ability, which is a big hit. On top of that, it's going to make it so whenever you use Hollow Twin, it's going to shoot you forward towards the thing you're aiming at rather than away from it. So it's a more aggressive style. I'm using my Hollow Twin and I'm using it to attack. And on top of that, you can use your Hollow Twin as sort of like a double jump and get to places you wouldn't otherwise be able to access. So that's kind of the reasons that you would pick either or. Double Trouble, more aggressive. Ground Zero, more of a support sort of role. So we're playing a support build, so we're going to go with Ground Zero. So level 2, I go with all safeties off. What that's going to do is it's going to increase my Hollow Twin decoy damage by 50%, which is awesome. I want that doing more damage, killing more people for me, or at least hurting them. Level 3, I'm going with Uppercut. This is sort of the main idea of the build. It adds an Uppercut, which juggles players or whatever I'm hitting into the air on the end of my attack combo. So that's how I'm going to juggle people, and you absolutely need it, so pick Uppercut up the middle. Level 4, I'm going with Drain Dash. That is that big heal that I was talking about. Because we picked an AoE, if you use your Burst Dash now with Drain Dash, it's going to give you a huge heal if you use it on a wave of minions or a group of players or whatever the situation may be. Big heals are possible. Alright, so level 5, I go with Silent Strike. That's going to add a slow to my attacks every time I come out of stealth. So that's super helpful for setting up that combo to start juggling. And then I love me some slow, so I'm going with Ire's Echo up the middle. That's going to increase the explosion damage of the Hollow Twins as well as add a 3% slow to everything that gets caught in that explosion. And slow is so great in this game. Well, unless you're on the receiving end, and then it's terrible. Alright, level 7. Fan of War, increase my base melee damage by 18%. Alright, level 8, we go with Energized. Get that Burst Dash cooldown a little bit lower. Get it, be able to use it a little bit more often. And then level 9, sort of the same deal, but this time with your Hollow Twin. Use that Hollow Twin more often. And that's really good at level 9 because usually by that level I've got all my gear activated and I kind of turn into a more aggressive Deande. So having that available just gets me, enables me to be aggressive more often because I don't like to go after players unless my Hollow Twin is ready to get me out if I fail. And then level 10, I go with Doppelgangup. add a Holo Twin after my ult. It's really nice because the charge up time on the ult is a lot. Plus you get kind of stunned for a second or so afterwards. So having that Holo Twin there is just some extra damage for you and a little bit more confusion for the enemy. Alright, so now you've seen my Helix choices, let me show you the gear. Now the idea of the gear is very simple. Attack speed, as much as you can get. You want that attack speed as high as possible so that combo shoots off faster so you get more juggles in. So to that end, I go with a white item, which I don't normally do. This one's called Hurricane. It gives me a 9.8% attack speed boost. Very, very nice. Then I've got this Eviscerating Endoskeletal Graft. It's going to add almost 9% attack damage, which is really nice, but the 5.12% attack speed is really why I want it. So that's just a little cherry on top for that attack damage. And then I've got the Doomsday Key. This one drops off of Rendane. I've used it on a few other builds. It decreases my shield recharge delay by 1.05 seconds, which is really nice. Gets my shield up more quickly. And then 5.6% base attack in base. Yeah, I can't talk. 5.6% base attack speed increase. And then on top of that, you get a 9.8% attack speed increase every time your shield is depleted, which normally happens when you engage. So you come out of stealth or you just hop on somebody, you're starting your combo out, you take a few hits, usually that shield will drop, you start to juggle them, and now you've got 9.8% attack speed increase on top of all of the other attack speed increases. And that's going to make it a lot easier for you to land that second juggle. And if they get juggled twice, they're in some trouble. It's a very bad situation for them at that point. Alright, so now that I've shown you my Helix choices and my gear, let's jump to some clips and I will explain to you how to use this build. At level 1 and 2 on Deande, you're not really in a position to kill players, so unless you've got teammate support, I wouldn't bother trying to kill anyone. Just get yourself leveled up. You know, maybe do a few warning shots and then back off, but it's highly unlikely you're going to be capable of taking out any of the good players alone. So, you know, just you do your ranged attacks and sort of chill. So what I do, though, is I focus on the minion waves. I go in with my burst dash, and that's going to do a decent amount of AoE damage and weaken all of the minions. Then I'll melee attack them in the middle of them until my shield drops, at which point I hit the Holo Twin and back off to get my shield back and start doing ranged attacks to finish them off. Now, the Holo Twin won't last long in there normally, but it'll do damage while it's up, as well as exploding when it dies. And the combination of the burst dash and the Holo Twin explosion is enough to usually clear a wave. And if it's not, now you're doing ranged attacks and you can pick off whatever's left. And if there's enemy players in the mix, they'll almost always think your clone is actually you, since you're in the middle of the minions and there's a lot going on. And most likely they're going to eat that explosion damage too. And more important than that, it's going to frustrate them, especially when you do it multiple times. And I do it basically every minion wave. So they're going to get really frustrated and really want to kill you. And that's going to lead them to overextend themselves at some point. And that makes them easy for you and your allies to take them out. At level 3, you get your Uppercut, and now you can really punish people for making mistakes or getting themselves in isolated situations. If someone overextends and you catch them in a juggle, it's just over, even if only one of your teammates is paying attention. And even if not, you can probably finish the deal yourself in most situations. Most players don't know how to get out of your juggle, so if you catch them in it and you're good at repeatedly landing those hits, you've just got yourself free kills. Now, you should also have at least one attack speed gear piece up by now, and the more you can get that attack speed up, the better, because it's just going to get through your combo quicker and let you keep that, just make it easier for you to maintain that juggle. But keep in mind, however, that any character with a dash-like ability or double jump can easily get out of your juggle, so catching them usually won't work out unless you catch them in a low ceiling or spot where they can't really move out of it. And also keep in mind at level 4 you pick up your healing off of burst dash, which is just going to allow you to be more aggressive, especially around minion waves or groups of enemies, since you've got a heal ready whenever you want it. Unless, of course, they're overshielded, in which case it's not going to do much. At level 5, you're going to pick up the ultimate, and I find it to be a fantastic complement to this build. Most people complain about the ultimate because it lacks killing power, and it has a long charge up before it shoots off, but support is what this build is all about, and for that purpose it does great. The stun on it lasts super long and leaves enemies exposed to your allies, which makes it easy for them to snag the kill. The important thing with the ultimate is to not draw attention to yourself while it's charging up, otherwise you're just going to get blown up. So in order to do that, I always lead with it whenever I sneak up on someone I'm not planning on juggling, and I come at them from behind or the sides. Now even if they turn and see me, by then it's usually too late and they're just going to eat it. So another way I like to use it is for people chasing me around corners or whenever I suspect an enemy will come around a corner. If I charge it before they arrive, they'll end up eating it before they get to me, and if not, it means they abandon the chase or they went a different route, and then the ultimate goes off and it hits nothing, which doesn't really matter because it just goes on a 10-second cooldown, which is no big deal at all. Also, keep in mind that the ultimate can definitely kill people, especially those trying to flee with low HP or low HP characters in general, like Benedict or Eldragon. So it's not simply a support tool, it can kill in the right situations. So, after level 5, you've got all the tools at your disposal you'll be using the rest of the game. But with the damage increases, the cooldown reductions, and those attack speed boosts from your gear, you'll be grabbing, you'll end up being a really nasty in-game killer. Usually around level 9 or so, I abandon the support role and I turn into a wandering assassin. Sort of like how many people envision Deande would play right out the gate, but she's far more effective at it when you reach the higher levels. Now, I don't have the burst damage because of the earlier Helix choices I made, but it really doesn't matter because my attack speed is going to make it super easy to juggle people, and it's not like the AoE dash doesn't do decent damage itself, and at least with the AoE dash, you can't miss your enemy with it, and it won't knock them away from you, so there's those benefits as well. Now, the nice thing about Deande is that overextending kind of isn't a thing with her because she not only stealths, but she also leaves behind that clone that you either have to deal with or ignore it, and it does a ton of damage to you. This just makes it so it's far more likely that the enemy won't be able to track you while you're invisible, and you'll almost always get away. So there you have it, the Fanatical Juggler build for Deande. This is another character that people consider weak, including myself until I got a feel for her strengths. But hopefully this build will encourage you to give her a try because she's awesome. She's amazing. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.